So this time around, we're gonna go ahead and talk about, as well as take out, the latest French SPAA, if you want to go ahead and call it that, the French Santal. Santal? Santal? I can't really say it, to be honest. But welcome back to the channel. Before I go ahead and get started, I do want to let you guys know really quick that we are about to break 50,000 subscribers on the channel. That's right, 50,000. We're about 150-ish, at least from the time of this bit's recording. And once that is that goal is achieved, I'm gonna go ahead and make a 50K Q&A. So keep an eye out for that community post alongside the Discord post and maybe even on Twitter, but in truth, not many of you guys even follow me on Twitter anyway, so probably not going to happen there, but we'll definitely see more about it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about more of the Santal itself and show you a little bit of gameplay, kind of highlighting what I mean about this vehicle's overall performance, which you'd be surprised, or actually really to no one's surprise, I guess, it's not that great. And yes, it is very easy to say that this vehicle is kind of difficult to play, and that's probably putting it very mildly as well, because this thing, much like the Type 93, the Saddam Mistral, and I believe the Chinese SPAA, the PGC-04 with the man pads, you have to play this vehicle incredibly strategically, and that's something a lot of players in War Thunder just don't really want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and try to highlight some tips and tricks for you guys, although in truth, it didn't really work out too well for me because just my luck, huh? You'll see what I mean. So I'm going to go ahead and take you guys away from that boring driving gameplay really quick before we go ahead and jump into the action and talk about this vehicle here in the hangar and kind of show you what really there is to expect once you get your hands on this vehicle. Now, thankfully, this vehicle does get the top missiles at the very start. They are the Mistral SATCPs. I don't really know what they're called, like the abbreviation really, but these are basically just Mistral air-to-air missiles, except they're not for air-to-air. They are ground-to-air or surface-to-air. Yeah, it's a SAM system. You get what I mean here, right? 6-kilometer rear aspect, which is very much the norm for this BR anyways, for any of these missiles, and you get 6 kilometers all aspect, but that is something you have to be very cautious about. It does say all aspect. It doesn't mean you are going to be getting that entirety of the all aspect. Sometimes, depending on what's coming your way, helicopters will have to be within about 3.5 kilometers. Aircraft, if they're coming directly at you, will be about around maybe 4-ish kilometers before it locks. 6 kilometers is the most it can possibly lock. I'll show you in the actual video or the gameplay bits itself once we get right to it. 20-second missile guidance time, which means that gets a 20-second burn time. At least, okay, maybe not a burn time, just for the overall guidance. The burn time is about maybe 10 seconds from what I could tell anyways. And of course, seeing that this is the a surface-to-air missile, you get a very giant plume that can even blind you. That's right, and you won't even know if your missile is going to make impact until it actually does, or you see the aircraft flying right on by. You do also get a 1-meter trigger radius, which is very poor. That is incredibly poor in my opinion, to which it does show itself very prominently in the game to how bad it can possibly be. And you do get a 12G maximum overload. Think of it like an AIM-9B, except that it's a little bit better. It doesn't really get deviated from flares as often, which is a very good thing, but it's not really that agile. Once they see this coming, it is very, very, very easy to dodge this. Now, going further with the actual vehicle itself, actually, go back to that menu, it does get Gen 1 thermal sights. It's not a stabilized platform, but you can fire on the move, which is very nice. You do get 12 of the actual missiles themselves loaded in 6 each, and it does take about 20-ish seconds nearly to reload it once you run out. And also, there's one big thing I did forget to mention. They can be very buggy. I'll show you in the game itself. It can be really, really buggy. Instead, you know what? Let me show you right now. Too fast, too fast. He's a little bit too agile. All right. Come on. Yep. Welcome to the life of playing a SAM system. It's buggy as hell most of the time. No point wasting a missile. Yeah, I wasn't kidding. Sorry to say, it just kind of sucks. Now, one of the biggest advantages of this vehicle is the radar scope scale. I can't really put my finger on it, to be honest. I don't really know what I'm looking at when it comes to the actual radar scope scale itself, but this thing can see almost directly above it. I would say there's a very small cone above you to which you cannot see things coming towards you. And that's a very unique thing because not even some top tier SPAAs can see as high as this thing, such as say the ADATs or the 2S6, where if you fly right above them or at a very oblique angle, the radar's not going to pick you up. This thing, for some reason, can see pretty much everything. That's right. So the radar scope scale is actually pretty damn good on this. I don't really know what I'm looking at. You do not get infrared search and track, which is a big shame. So once you lock onto a target and they have a radar system or I guess a radar warning system, they will be alerted to you locking onto them. So kind of use that very sparingly. And as you can see in the gameplay itself, this thing does have a very unusual seeker head, meaning that you have to kind of put it right below, far below where your sight's at in order to get a lock onto a vehicle, assuming you're not using the radar tracking itself, which does allow it, at least in the gun sight, to track the target and engage as necessary. But then again, that's a really big if. So let's talk about the pros of the vehicle itself. Now, it's at battle rating 9.3. which in my opinion is a very good BR for this type of vehicle. Any lower, things might get a little bit overbearing. Any higher, and it would be very much unbalanced in the sense that this thing would be, in my opinion, borderline useless. But I would say maybe it has a better use in the higher tiers, because that is where you'll see more helicopters such as the KA-50s, KA-52, low running gun Apaches, and so on and so forth, which are way more prominent around battle rating 10.7, where this thing won't really find it too much. You'll only ever find some subsonic and some supersonic jets around the 9.3 area, but not really too much. And remember, you do fire at them, they see that giant plume and they can easily dodge it. Sorry, I might put an emphasis on that throughout the entirety of the video. Another pro about this vehicle is that you do get a Generation 1 thermal sight, which is great for using to identify targets, and you do have a scouting ability, which means that you can identify targets for your teammates because you have absolutely zero defensive capabilities. You can't shoot anything except aircraft. You have no machine gun, you have nothing to play with, and also, why do the drivers have the hatch closed? You drive with this closed. How do they? There's no camera up here. It kind of drives me nuts. Yeah, I know, right? And another pro, you are incredibly nimble, right? 220 horsepower, you're a 13-ton vehicle, 92 kilometers an hour. You can really shoot, well, I won't say shoot and skew, but you could scoot around the entirety of the map, putting yourself in a proper position. And we'll get more of the tactics after we talk about the next bit, which is, of course, the cons. Yeah, the cons, right? I'm sure you guys are probably gonna have a lot to say and a lot to judge, especially when I say this. And I'm gonna say it in a very forward and blunt manner. The Mistral missiles suck. The Stingers are garbage. The Eaglas, assuming there are gonna be any at some point, maybe with the Strelos or something, if they do fire those, are garbage, to say the least. The only ones you'll really find that to be very efficient are the ones like such as the TY-90s, fired from the helicopters, of course, which these do use the ones almost found on the helicopters, but they are a little bit different to some extent. And I believe the Manpads ones found from the PGZ-04, those things for some reason are a little bit more nimble, not quite as nimble as you would like them to be, or at least I would anyways. And another downside is that this thing has no armor. If anything looks at you, you're dead. There's no escaping your doom unless you can maybe outrun them. But for some reason, that transmission loves to die every time you get shot at right away. Yeah, so that's honestly the biggest downside about this, is that you only have one offensive capability, and it's not even that really good. Now, let's go ahead and talk about some of the tactics you can use to be a little bit more efficient with this vehicle. Now, I'm going to do my best to explain to you in this bit of footage. Now, what I'm doing is I'm currently trying to place myself in the correct area of the map. You don't necessarily want to be where you would spawn at. Now, most smart players will generally look towards your spawn zones for SPAA. That's probably one of the biggest mistakes a lot of players make, is staying in the spawn zone. Your biggest goal is to move away from it, get to a side of the map or get to some other position of the map away from the spawn zone, and wait for your targets. Once you identify a target, as you can kind of see right here, I am sometimes turning off my radar in order to, well, at least not in this clip anyways, to basically let them know that, yeah, I do see you, but now I don't want you to find out where I'm at, but I know you're there, and seeing that this thing doesn't need radar lock to engage, all I have to do is wait for the perfect opportunity to engage them. Now, seeing that this is the Mistral missile, it is a little bit more agile and is a little bit more nimble compared to that of, say, the Type 93s or even sort of the Stingers. I think they go about the same speed for the most part. you really want to wait for a perfect opportunity. When a target is coming in directly, they're very much focused on their bomb sites, most of the time anyways, and when they're about to make the loop back into here, you want to catch them at the lowest possible velocity, at the highest angle possible to where they cannot maneuver and try to dodge that missile. The rule of the game is the slower they go, the easier the kill, I would say. Another tactic you're going to have to utilize is map knowledge. In order to place yourself, know where the enemy aircraft like to come in, where the helipad is currently sitting at, and generally where they won't really expect you to come from. If you come from their side of the map, it's very easy to get those kills for sure, at least relatively speaking to the performance of the vehicle itself. And when it comes to drones especially, oh yeah, they're not really looking towards their side of the map. They're looking towards your side. If they can come in close enough, I would say about 4.30 or I think maybe 3.75 kilometers, you are able to destroy them moderately quickly. I think that made sense. And let's be honest here, smacking helicopters is incredibly satisfying with this thing. Just saying. And flares, oh yeah, the Mistrals, they don't really care about your flares. Just saying. However, I do believe that is really it to when it comes to the strategy of utilizing these types of vehicles. At least in my personal experience, that's how well I can kind of use them. But one of the biggest downsides about them is that they may be fire and forget, but sometimes your entire system can be entirely bugged out. I'm not even kidding. Check this out. That's not the guy I'm looking at. Come on, there we go. Okay, there we go. Come on, game. And let's see if he doesn't see this coming. Real zippy. Nope. Keep going, keep going. Oof. Come on, keep going. All right, let's see if that gets him. Nope. Missile didn't even track. All right. There you go. Nope, wrong target. No, that's the right target. Where are you going? Oh, boy. Yeah, I wasn't kidding when I said it's a little buggy, but that's really it. That's all I got for you guys when it comes to the Santal. Is it a vehicle that I would recommend? It's a solid 50-50. In truth, as I said earlier, I might just bring this out with me to the higher tier to engage helicopters, etc., because it is a smaller profile vehicle. And granted, I do have the ITO to use in the top tier environment, but this one is the whole fire and forget thing with helicopters. It's really nice being able to move and get the hell out of there, because even then, the ITO, cool, I can try to overpressure some people with it, but it's not really going to work out that well anyways, so I would rather be a little bit more efficient. And that's where the Santal may just come in, although it really comes down to player preferences. And aside from that, that's it. That's all I got for you guys. This is where I want to leave it to you as the viewer. What do you think? Is this just another gimmick? Can you use it? Do you know how to use it? And can you drop any piece of advice to anyone here in the comment section of this video? And if maybe I missed something, maybe I'm just not using it correctly, maybe I'm not using the radar right, I have no idea. Let me know down in that comment section. Teach me something, and if I taught you something, you know, let me know. Like the video, dislike it if you learned nothing from it. And hell, maybe if you just enjoyed everything, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, because we're getting to that 50K and I plan on getting to there very, very soon. In fact, I'm getting the camera setup made up just for that upcoming video. So with all that being said, I hope you guys did enjoy everything. Should you decide you want to see this gameplay live, you know exactly where to find me over on Twitch. Link down description below as always. And if you want to go ahead and maybe support the channel just a little bit while saving 3% off your order in the War Thunder store, use my discount code. You get my decal, 3% off. That 3% goes to me as a creator. What's not to love, right? So again, last time I'm saying this, thank you guys so much for checking this out. And I will see you not only in the next video or even the streams, but in War Thunder itself. So as always, happy grinding.